For a long time, I knew I wasn't wired like everybody else. And over the last 5 years, I think I've realised why. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name's Ian. If you're new here, this is my channel, North and Forth. I'm a 50-year-old bloke who moved 600 miles from his family to live here in the northeast of Scotland. And this is my channel. Feel free to go back through the content. I go out and see interesting things and just talk about life here in northern Scotland. So if you think you might find that interesting, head back through the content and see if there's something else you like. Today's subject is not really controversial anymore, but I don't know whether you, my subscribers, will like it or whether it'll turn some of you off. But today's topic is adult ADHD. But before you go, hear me out. So please don't switch off. Stick around, because coming up in this video, I'm going to tell you how seriously it affected my childhood, an incident in my childhood that would just not be tolerated today because of it, and how it's affected my business life, my work life, and most importantly, my relationships, and an apology to everybody I've been in a relationship with. So stick around. So when I say I always knew I wasn't wired like other people, like many people a decade ago, and probably up until about maybe 5 years ago, I certainly felt or thought that childhood ADHD was just a lack of discipline. Don't shoot me. There was a lot of people thought that. And certainly for adult ADHD, I was of the opinion that it was also a lack of self-discipline as an adult, in as much as you have things you just got to suck up and you've just got to do, and you need to have the self-discipline to do them. But over the last 5 years, my opinion has started to change. I watched quite a lot of content creators who, it turns out, probably have got adult ADHD, and now I look at it and look at the content they put out and how they behave on camera, I can see that that's probably the case. I'll take you back to childhood. I was dreadful at school. I got moved from my first school. I started school at 4 or 5, whatever it was back then in the 70s, and I would write the day and the date in my exercise book, and that was it. I would then just go wandering around the class, chatting to people, generally being distracting to other kids. My teacher tied me to the chair. I would have been about 4 or 5. She actually tied me to the chair. The school could do nothing with me. And can you imagine now in 2025 a teacher tying a child to a chair? But back then, bearing in mind I was born in the early 70s, that would have been the mid to late 70s, I was tied to a chair. And this went on through my school life. Some parts of my school life were better, and I managed to apply myself a little bit more if I found a subject interesting. Other times it was as dreadful as ever. I left school with 1 GCSE in drama. Still couldn't really apply myself, never felt like I fitted in, just felt like a constant battle. And to a degree, life still does, but I'll come to that. So I left school with 1 GCSE in drama. I then had 15 jobs between leaving school and 22. I left school at 16. So what's that? 4 or 5 years, something like that, 6 years. I was a butcher. I was a mechanic. I was a builder. I was a decorator. I was a jeweler. I rode horses. So I had a massive amount of different jobs, just jumping from one thing to the other, sort of 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Nothing stuck. I enjoyed them for a while, but Once that dopamine hit wore off at 4, 5, 6 months in, I was gone. I'd had enough. The interest waned. I'd move on to the next thing. Then I hit on my career at 22, and I stuck with my career for 30 years. I don't know why. I did have about 4 different jobs between starting my career and starting my own business. And then once I started my own business, I then of course could do things how I wanted them and how it suited me. So there wasn't the rigidity of somebody else telling you how you could do things and when you needed to work and when you needed to do that. I could just make it work for me. And I think that's why I lasted 30 years in my career, because I could just make it work. And I'd just like to say, I've not been diagnosed. I looked at getting diagnosed. And if you've ever looked at this on the NHS in this country, you've probably got a 2 to 4 year wait to get diagnosed. If you want to go private, I found one company that was 1,850 quid, which frankly, I already know what's wrong with me. I have no intention of going on drugs to fix it in any shape, form or description. So whilst it would be nice to be diagnosed and understand exactly what the situation is, I'm not about to rush out and spend £1,850 to do it. But I do have all of the challenges that it brings, and I have to work really hard to not repeat the same things. I'm impulsive, hugely impulsive. I'll just one day decide I'm doing something and I'll go and spend £1,000 on the gear to do it. And 3 months later, that idea is gone. So if I disappear from YouTube all of a sudden and there's no more videos, you know what's happened. I also am reckless. And this is a serious point. I am reckless. I did a poll on social media about wearing seatbelts. And I put the poll out and said, is not wearing a seatbelt reckless? Bearing in mind that if you hit something in your car and you're not wearing a seatbelt, you're the person that suffers. Apart from, of course, the emergency service, you have to come and pick up the pieces. I get that. But an overwhelming amount of people said that was reckless. Yet in my brain, I didn't believe it was, because it's only me that suffers. When I bought this house here in Scotland, I had no inspections done on anything. I took the home report, and the home report was a year out of date. I didn't get electrics inspected, boilers inspected, all the normal things that a normal thinking person would do. I just plough in with both feet. I buy cars sight unseen. Don't even look at them, just get them delivered. And touch wood, it's not been an absolute disaster, but yeah, it's not a good mindset to have. I'm not really forgetful. That's one of the things with ADHD, I believe. People are forgetful. I'm not. I do write everything down. I do keep a diary of everything I've got to do, calls I've got to make, which means that I don't forget things. And I am able, I've got 2 jobs, both of which require quite a lot of self-discipline, self-management, time management. And I am able to function at those quite well. So that probably doesn't fit the normal ADHD symptom. The video that I'm jumping around a bit now, that's ADHD probably. The video that got me watching this is this one. I'll put it up here. Which made me make this video, because a lot of what this chap says I could see in myself, and I finally decided to open up about it and say, hey, this is me. The other thing is I find tasks overwhelming. So as you know, I've been doing this house up here in Scotland, and I completely stopped doing it up for about 6 months because I just lost the oomph for it. And however much I tried to get the oomph back to finish it, I had rooms undecorated. My bedroom was full of painting materials and tools, and I ended up sleeping in the smaller second bedroom for about 3 months because I just had no life in me. I just couldn't be bothered. And then all of a sudden, something one morning will trigger in my head and I'll go, I'm going to get that room finished. And I'll bash it out in about 72 hours. I'll just absolutely nothing else matters in the world but getting that room finished. And I did. And it's done. But I have whole periods, and this applies to many, many things. Even making this video today, it's now 5 o'clock and I'm making the video. But I've been sort of working. I have been working. But I knew I wanted to make it, but I just couldn't get the oomph together to do it. And then all of a sudden, something in my brain triggers, and here we are making the video. So there you go. That's my undiagnosed adult ADHD story. I'm not going to go and get diagnosed. I know what's wrong with me. I know how to apply self-discipline enough to run my little business and do the job I do. Do I lose it completely when it comes to tasks around the house, or maybe going out and making a YouTube video, or taking myself off for a walk or fishing? Yes. Do I have whole days? Last Saturday, I lost a whole day. I just sat around the house. Just meh, couldn't be bothered to do anything. So I have those sorts of days. But I get by, and actually watching other people's stories and understanding how it affects other people helps hugely to be able to be self-aware and control things enough to get along. But I now understand why I did so badly at school and why life has been a bit of a struggle. I was about to end the video, but something else has popped into my head. Relationships. Oh my God. If anybody watching this has ever been in a relationship with me before, I don't expect they will, because I don't broadcast to anybody I know that I've got this channel. But if you do happen to watch this and you've been in a relationship with me in the past, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, because I am a fucking nightmare. And I would have been a nightmare to you, because in the same way as the ADHD makes you lose interest in jobs quickly, lose interest in projects around the house quickly, it makes you lose interest in relationships. Now, I was married for 10 years, and my God, you know, my ex-wife is a gem. We're still close, we still talk, but Jesus, I put her through the mill. And in relationships since then, I've been divorced 10 years. You know, I've been in relationships with women since then who have experienced that side of me, and that's why they haven't worked. So I put my hand up. It's me, and I'm sorry. And I'm going to end the video on that note, because do you know what? I'm hoping in the future I have the self-awareness that if I do get a new partner, I am able to go, look, this is me, this is how I behave, and I'm going to try and not behave like that, and have an open conversation about it. Because not only did I not realise, and because I did not realise, we never had the conversation, and that's cost me 2 or 3 relationships. I'm going to leave it there. If this chimed with you at all, if you feel like this, if you see a pattern like this in your own life, pop a comment below. If I put this video out, obviously. And if I have, I'll put another video here on the end screen that you might find a little more light-hearted and more typical of my normal content. Thanks for watching. Stay curious.